Hi, my name is Christina.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Um, Before we start, I would like to thank you for your time.
Okay.
Um, One question I have for you is when did you serve?
Well, I served quite a few different times, actually. I first joined the Navy, the active duty Navy, in 1979, June of 1979. And I served for a little over 4 years active duty. And then I got out of there in 1983 and I came back to Wisconsin, and it was really hard to find work back then. So I joined the Navy Reserves, and I did that for 6 additional years. And then I got out of there and I stayed out of the military and raised my family and worked different jobs. And then I joined back up, but this time I joined the Army in 2004 after the U.S. invaded Iraq. I went in June of 2004. I joined back up, and then I deployed to Iraq right away in 2005 and came back to the end of 2006. And then I stayed in the Wisconsin National Guard up until July of 2018. So I've been around the military for quite a bit.
Oh, that's cool.
Right.
What made you join the military?
Um, at the time, I guess when I was a kid on the farm, there wasn't a lot of future. There was 8 of us boys in my family, and I had an uncle that was pretty close to us kids, and he was in the Navy. So then, when my older brother Steve graduated high school, he joined the active Navy, and then I didn't really have any plans after high school to go to college, so I went ahead and joined the Navy as well. So we basically all three, and then my younger brother Brian also joined the Navy. So yeah.
What was your job in the military?
I was a cook in the Navy, and then when I joined the Army, I joined to be a cook. My MOS is a cook, 92 golf they call it, and but I didn't really do a lot of that. I did more. We did like security force protection when I was in Iraq. You just go back and become a soldier instead of your specific job, because a lot of the food service for Army overseas is done by contracts, and so the outside contractors are doing most of the cooking and feeding, and we just became infantry soldiers then.
When you cooked, what did you cook?
Oh, you name it, like on the ship, everything, and lots of it, because I was on an aircraft carrier in the Navy, and there was about 6,300 people on the aircraft carrier. And so they're eating, sometimes 4 meals a day, because we're running night operations, planes going on and off the ship all the time. And people are working 12, 13, 14-hour days. So there was actually 23 hours out of every 24-hour day that you could actually go on that ship somewhere and find a meal to eat.
Mhm.
So there was no chance of going hungry on there.
What was your training like?
Well, like for the Navy, that was pretty good. I went to that out in San Diego, California, and I kind of fell in love with that area while I was there for a short time. And I was fortunate enough to get stationed out in Southern California. So I spent the first about a year and a half out there on a little place called San Clemente Island. And that was right off the coast of Los Angeles and San Diego, about 90 miles from each, if you kind of draw a triangle. And if you look at the map, you can actually see the island. You'll see Catalina, and then just to the south of there, you can see San Clemente. And that's where I spent about a year and a half. And that was a really nice area. But for the Army, I did training all over. I've been to Washington, I've been uh, to Virginia, I've been all over for the Army for training, Texas, you name it, a lot of places.
Can you tell me about a fellow service member who you looked up to?
There's several. That's one thing I learned later on. Like the first time I served, I really had a hard time
Mhm.
with people, um, kind of some of them ahead of you in rank or in your division, that would be in charge and telling you things. But even though they didn't always know or have as much experience as you did, And so I guess, but then later on in life, when I went back into the military in 2004 and joined the Army, I was in a position where I was a lot older than a lot of those younger soldiers. So a lot of them looked to me for guidance and leadership based on my life experiences. So
Cool.
the roles kind of reversed a little bit for me.
Mhm. What made him or her special, like about them?
Well, just the fact that, like when I first got on the ship, a lot of those guys that had been on, regardless of their rank, but had been on there for a couple of years. So you kind of lean on them to show you the ropes, as it were, and use their experience so you don't make a lot of the same mistakes they do. Maybe you've never been to the Philippines or Thailand or one of those before, and they kind of show you around and they show you how things work on the ship and how to be successful in what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm. What was your favorite memory?
I've had a lot of them, and I think a lot of it is just the amount of people that you meet, especially like in the Wisconsin Guard. I spent 14 years in there, and you meet several people. There's probably 5 to 6 thousand citizen soldiers in the state that belong to one armory or another in 3 different brigades. And so, over the course of a 14-year career, you meet a lot of people from all over Wisconsin. And my favorite part is now later on in life, if I go somewhere, if I go to Madison or go to Milwaukee, it almost seems like you run into somebody that you recognize or remember from some past experience in the Wisconsin National Guard. I like that. I get a big kick out of running into people just by accident that you wouldn't think would be there, but yet there they are. So,
What helped you get through the tough times of your service?
what help do I get for what?
What helped you get through the tough times in your service?
Talking to people at home. The first time I went, I didn't have a laptop computer, so I didn't have internet access. But they gave us like a computer lab almost with 20 or 30 computer stations and we learned to use Skype quite a bit. I don't even know if people use Skype anymore, but it was pretty popular back then. And you didn't have cell phone access or your own laptop. We use Skype. You log in, and then the people back home can log in. And just like you and I are conversing right now, we did that same thing. So that helped.
That's cool.
The challenge was like the time difference, because they were 9 hours behind us. So if I wanted to talk to them at, say, 10 o'clock in the morning, I would have to get up at like 1 in the morning or midnight to be able to talk to them.
Mm.
So.
Why do you think it is important for students to learn about the military service?
I just think the military plays such a big history in our country becoming what we are today. If you go way back to the early days, the 1800s, like pre-Civil War, it was basically the strongest people made the rules. And if you had the gun and I didn't, of course, I'm going to do what you say I have to do. And that led this country for a long time. And I think it was like the Wild West. I mean, you've seen westerns, you've watched different things, and the people with the money have the power, and the people with the guns also dictate how things happen. So I think the military is very important to our country's history because it kind of establishes some order and routine, and keeps us civilized, make people do the right thing.
Oh, did you always have a plan going into war or fights?
Not so much. I mean, I did the first time because I had advance notice. I knew I was going to go to the Army. I knew I was going to deploy right away. So, like my plan at that time, because I still had 2 boys at home, and one was still in high school, and my daughter was working and living, and my oldest son was out working and living, and so I had a lot of things to prepare for. Like we burned firewood to heat our house, so I spent a good deal of time trying to get 2 winters worth of firewood stacked up and things to that sort that try to prepare the family. So while you are gone, everything runs smoothly.
Hmm.
So a lot
Those
of,
are all sorry.
go ahead.
Those are all the questions I have for you. I want
Okay.
to would like to thank you for your time.
All right. Well, thank you very much for taking this time to do this. I know I miss coming to the middle school. If you've ever been a part of that, they put on a really good program in a gymnasium. The veterans come, we hold flags. Everybody, there's a lot of presenters, some band, play some music, and it's a good program. But this, I think, will be just as good going forward. And in the virtual part, maybe a lot of people will participate and click on these interviews and watch. So I sure appreciate being invited. I'm allowed to tell my story. So thank you.
Yep, thank you.